What's going on, people? Welcome to a brand new content. Yes, it's the first one ever, and I don't know how we've done this, but Patrick and me are gonna be doing player ratings, as you saw it on the video description. As always, if you do enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Patrick, out of everyone, me and you doing these type of videos is like the worst two to do it with, because we barely agree on anything.
That's
but
true.
It's going to be fun. We got a 2-0 win, so we must agree on certain player ratings.
Agree.
But we'll start straight away. Throughout the video, if you guys want to give us your thoughts, whether you agree, disagree with us, let us know in the comment section down below, and we'll try to reply back to you as always. Let's get this started, Patrick. Let's start with number one.
Before we start, I just want to say,
spoiler alert.
Right, I base my ratings based on who we played, how we played, and the result. I don't just base on, I've taken those things into account. You probably didn't, so I want to get that started before we get started.
Whoa. You haven't even seen my ratings. How can you even say that?
I saw one. Spoiler alert. I saw one I didn't like, but that's all right. All right, go ahead.
Is it real? We'll see.
Yeah,
let's start with this one. Vicente Guaita. I've given him a 7. You've given him a 7.5. The reason why I gave him 0.5 lower than you, he didn't really have much to do, in all honesty, which was kind of crazy to say. The fact that he was facing Man City and Vicente had a quiet afternoon in comparison to what he would normally have. But reason why I gave him 0.5 lower is it was his passing accuracy. It wasn't quite there yesterday, and we've been talking about it over the last couple of weeks. In Vieira's system, you have to be comfortable on the ball, even as a goalkeeper.
Right.
And he didn't seem that comfortable yesterday. So I gave him a 7. You gave him a 7.5. But it was pretty much quiet. You can't really give him any lower or any higher.
Yeah, I agree. With you, distribution was very poor. I don't know about you, but when I watch him get the ball at his feet, I'm still very, very nervous. He's the only player in our back five that when he gets the ball at his feet, I'm very nervous. But overall, nothing to do. He had 2 shots or 3 shots to save right at his chest. I would have been getting him higher, honestly. But honestly, that was called back. I was disappointed in how he came out for that ball when Jesus scored. So had that ball gone a 6.5 from me or a 6. So thankfully got a clean sheet though.
It's fair. I think we've both got similar ratings there.
I agree.
We both got similar type of ratings for Joe Ward as well. You give him 8.5. I gave him an 8. What did you think of his performance yesterday? Because we talked about it last week, actually, on the match reaction show.
Right.
And we talked about how a new right back would be better suited, but due to the fact that, with the overlaps, Ward isn't that type of guy. But yesterday, he had not absolutely fantastic game, because I gave him an 8, not 10. But he had a very good game. I thought he handled Grealish as well as he can. But what do you make of yesterday's game? Did he impress you, considering what you thought of him about Newcastle?
So my Newcastle issue again was going forward. Yesterday we didn't need to go forward. We had to do what I had to do, which was to mark Grealish. I thought he was brilliant yesterday. Going up against Grealish. Remember, Grealish is an English player, one of the best players in the country, and he kept him quiet the entire match. I thought it was really, really good. But that's Joe Ward's forte, playing defense. So I thought it was brilliant yesterday. He did what he had to do. Playing against a player of Grealish's ability, and Grealish didn't create really anything at all. Was very, very quiet to the point we got subbed in the second half. I thought Joe was brilliant yesterday. So again, my criticism of him is never defensively so much as it is going forward. But yesterday, he had a job to do under Vieira's system, and he was brilliant yesterday. 8.5 is much better than 8.
Yeah, well, don't let Stan see this, but Joachim Andersen.
Exactly.
We both agree with it. I think I've given him an 8. He's been under not a lot of scrutiny, but he's been under scrutiny due to the set piece goal that we've conceded against Leicester. It was this individual error that we conceded. But yesterday, I felt comfortable with him there. We'll be talking about Mark Way in just a second, but I don't think there's much to add. I think he was solid at the back. I think the whole back line was solid. We'll be talking about, as I said, Mark Way and Tyreek Mitchell.
Right.
But, nothing really stood out in particular for me. I just think he had a very good game, but there wasn't anything that maybe his passing was good once again. But I think that's normal with Joachim Andersen. Was there anything for you?
Well, I liked a couple of things. I thought that his talking was excellent. I know you were at the game, but if you watch the replay, a lot of times he's busy pointing and talking to the back four about some situation. But I really haven't noticed that before, and I thought he was really good at doing that yesterday. And I just thought, just in general, his play was very playing out the back. There weren't any time yesterday when the ball was played to him either by Guehi or by Guaita where I was nervous about it. I was never worried about a Leicester type mistake. And on set plays, he was very, very solid. And I think they had 7 corners yesterday. So I thought he did really well yesterday. Anderson, really credit to him.
Yeah, and it was an improvement. He didn't look shaky. As we talked about before, individual mistakes will cost you in these type of games, and he didn't have any major individual mistakes. Mark Guay, I've given him an 8.5, whereas you given him 8. The reason why I've given him 0.5 higher is due to the fact that when talking about aerial duels, I haven't got the stats out with me right now, but I'm pretty sure that he won more aerial duels than Joachim Andersen. And as City are not Route 1 football, but he was just that 0.5 better for me. I don't know how to describe it, but he edged it a little bit more. And I thought he had another solid performance. I don't think anyone really had a bad game, but you'll be seeing our player ratings throughout the show. But for me, he edges it 0.5. But you thought he had a similar type of game to Joachim Andersen?
Yeah, I did. And you point out aerial duels. I'll tell you, he won 3 and Anderson won 0. So you're spot on with that. It's a great spot. I hadn't even realized that he won 5 duels versus Anderson winning 2. And he had 83% pass success rate and Anderson 78. But do you know what? I thought they were the reason I think I gave them the same rating. I thought they were both really good. The only thing I noticed, like I said, was Anderson talking more than Guehi. But Guehi did a really good job again. His quickness is very important for our back four. And the thing is, I meant to mention with Anderson, since City didn't use a real number 9, they had a false 9 in Foden, and then they would Jesus or whomever go in that position. I thought it was more difficult for us to pick out who to mark, but I thought Anderson and Guehi did a really good job yesterday.
Yeah, they look very solid, and the chemistry seemed like it's coming along.
It's definitely coming along
for as well. Yeah. And talking about this guy, I love him, man. He just fitted in so nicely. Tyreek Mitchell, giving him 8.5, me 0.5 lower. Once again, you're playing against City at the Etihad, and so far this season, I think there was a stat out there. I think it was Matchday365 on Twitter who tweeted it, and the only winger that scored against Mitchell so far this season has been Salah. And if you look at the teams that we've played against, and some of the world-class players, not even world-class, some of the class players that he's come up against, he's done really good, really good this season, and it's become so normalized. I thought he was up there with the Mark Guays and Joachim Andersen. So I thought he had a very solid game, but you thought he was just a bit more better than them two in the centre half pairing.
I put it down to the fact that he's so young, and for him to come up with a play so well yesterday at the Etihad against a team against City, he did really well. I have to admit though, had that goal been scored, that was him that got beat by Jesus at the back post on that goal that was called back for VAR. But that aside, honestly, he's brilliant. Again, just his maturity, his ability to make that short pass. I like the way he was getting involved in playing the ball back with Kouyaté, who dropped back into that back 5 and was making those triangles with him and Anderson and Kouyaté. I thought he was playing really well. I mean, the kid's come on leaps and bounds. I'm so happy that he's playing so well. It's a credit to our academy. And I think he's got a great future ahead. But yeah, 8.58. He deserves that as high as possible yesterday. He played really well.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned there about the Jesus goal, I think if there's one improvement to Mitchell's game, it's this.
Don't switch off.
Dealing with, switch off and deal with because I've seen teams target him in particular so far this season. There's been crosses into the box. So that's one area of improvement. But I don't expect him to be the finished product. Like, he's just getting started now, and he's got huge bags of potential. Another solid game for him. This guy, oh my! If you see my match reaction,
you're a fraud, by the way. Just so everybody knows, he had a 6.5 for Gallagher when he showed me the graphic before, so he tried to trick me. So nice, well played, DR, well played.
You actually thought I was going to give Gallagher 6.5.
I know.
I'll remove myself from the channel if that happens.
I hear that.
Yeah. Just where do you start with him? Like, where do you start? I feel like I just say the same thing over and over again when I talk about him. Both giving him a 9. Just tracking back defensively, very good. Going forward, once again involved. He just seemed like he's loving his football at Palace. And the one thing about Gallagher, he had a very good performance. But the one thing about it is people are noticing him now. I'm seeing lots of neutral talk about,
Yep.
Gallagher would fit in our side. No, he wouldn't. He fits into Palace's side. No one's getting him. But are you slightly worried that as Gallagher's keeping up performance like this against top sides, that potentially Chelsea are going to be looking at it, and it's going to be very hard for us to sign him on a permanent deal, which we all want? I think all Palace fans can agree that we need Gallagher to sign up permanently. But are you slightly worried?
Well, a couple of things. I talked about with it T yesterday. My nephew, who's an Arsenal fan from South London, so I don't understand that, but whatever. He was exactly. Yeah, you're right. South London base. Yeah. He was saying how Arsenal should sign Gallagher. I'm like, are you mad? Why would he want to go? Why would he want to go to Arsenal? If anything, he's either going to stay at Palace, hopefully, or going to go back to Chelsea. So my point to T yesterday was that if I'm Conor Gallagher, and let me tell you something, that kid bought into our club 100%. Yesterday, video after the match when he's talking about the fans and how he always reacts to running into when we score goals. It's brilliant. My only thing is, if you're Conor Gallagher, and I'm going to be totally fair, if you have a chance to play for Chelsea, you're going to go back. Now, I'm not saying he can because they're stacked in midfield. Unless they get rid of one of the central midfielders, he may not play. But he's bought into our club. But if you have a chance, he's going to go back to Chelsea. Because listen, Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, he's going to win everything there. But having said that, they've got the kid out in Norwich that's on loan, the Scottish kid. What's his name again?
Billy Gilmore.
He might come back. They can't all fit into that midfield. So I'm praying that, one, he really buys into our club, and two, we have the money. That we'll decide not to say, you know what, kid, we really want you to stay here, and he stays. But you know what, we'll see. But as far as his performance yesterday, he was brilliant. He's always brilliant. I mean, but he's up and down. He's all over the pitch. He breaks up play. He scored the goal. He had he had the assist. I mean, when Wilf made that play, who's right next to him? Not our other striker in EDOUARD, really. It's a central midfielder. Plays the ball to Wilf, and Wilf scores. It's amazing. The kid's all over the place. And again, he's bought into our ethos. He's just great. And again, I gave him a 9, but he could have been higher. He was that good.
Why? I'm thinking about now. Why did he got a goal, got an assist?
Because I have a player. Because I have a player. I had to give a higher score to and get to the later on. That's the reason why.
All right, so I personally, I don't think Jordan Ayew had the better game than Gallagher. But anyways, moving on. Moving on to Cheku Kouyaté.
Hey, look at that.
8.5. No, 8.5. I have to hold my hands up. I have to hold my hands up.
Yeah, you always criticize when he's in the lineup. Credit to you.
No. I didn't want him to start.
I know you don't like him.
But it's not about that. Patrick, you have to be real with me here. Do you think Kouyaté's had a good season so far, apart from the City game? Has he looked?
He's been okay. He hasn't been terrible. He hasn't been.
I don't think he's suited. I don't think he's been. I don't know. In midfield, he hasn't been that great. I thought, give it to someone else. I was surprised because it does make sense because Vieira clearly wanted to focus on defensive efforts. And Kouyaté yesterday, he filled in every pocket. So if the ball's on the right-hand side, he'll be in the central areas to try to cut out the passes, which he was very good at. He was just all over the place, and I loved him. I think it was the best Palace game so far this season. And hopefully, this is the click that Kouyaté needed because, as I said, I haven't really been a fan of it so far this season. I wasn't too sure whether he can do it in Vieira's system. But I guess just like Ayew that we'll be talking about, he might be better suited to games like this where the underdogs and we don't have the ball as much. So he might be better. But we'll see. I thought, and me and you both agree, that he had a very solid game. 8.5 is very high. That's just 0.5 lower than Gallagher, but I think he deserved it. Of course, let us know what you think. Do you agree with us? Disagree with us? Is Kouyaté going to be the starter from now on? Let us know in the comment section down below. Next up, Maka. Some people are saying that he's probably still running at the Etihad. He might be running back to Croydon right now. With Maka, it's pretty much the same thing. 8.5. Both of us agreed there. I think all three midfielders yesterday, tactically, they were aware of what they were doing. And Maka, he just doesn't slow down. And I'm just thinking, when are you gonna? Because this ain't normal. When are you gonna slow down? He's not the youngest player out there.
Right.
Do you think come second half of the season, Maka, we might be, there might be a bit more rotations with Maka regarding, his any, because I don't think he'll be able to. Do you think he'll be able to keep it up for the whole 38 games?
I'm not sure. I think it's based on injuries. If he's not injured, I think he'll be fine. You know what I mean? But I think that I gotta admit, I underrate him a lot. I don't underappreciate him. I underrate him a lot, and I just think
Same.
that if he's physically fit and okay to play, he's gonna play. I mean, looking at his stats yesterday, he had a 92% pass success rate. 92% is absolutely, it's ridiculous. He had 34 accurate passes. He had 10 passes in the opposition half. You know, he had 51 touches. I think it's the highest on the team as far as the midfield player. I mean, next to Gallagher. I mean, I just think he's really, really done a great job for us. I'm just really, I just think that as long as he's healthy, he's the engine in that midfield next to Gallagher, and you can't take him out. As much as I want to
Yeah, you
see
can't.
Gyro play, or you know, he's
I'm
got
not
to
saying
play.
take him out. I'm just wondering,
Right,
like, is
right.
Age ever going to catch up to him?
If he
Is
catch
Age,
it, yeah.
look at the stats that you're saying. You would think this is like a 21-year-old or 22-year-old. He's in his 30s.
Right.
And
exactly.
he's doing all of this. He's running all
Yeah.
over the pitch. I haven't got the stats out.
It's amazing.
I haven't got the stats with me, but he's probably ran one of the most in our team, I guess. Is probably up there, which wouldn't surprise me at all because it's all over the pitch. So another solid performance from Maka. Then talking about Jordan Ayew, you said that he'll start, and I wasn't too sure whether
Oracle. I'm the Oracle. Remember that. I'm the Oracle.
The Oracle of Palace, Patrick O'Connor. So I wasn't too sure whether he should start, but I was thinking about it throughout the week, Patrick. I was thinking about it, and it did make sense. So I wasn't too disappointed or too surprised when he actually came to the lineup selection. I was more surprised about Kouyaté starting, but you gave him a 7. I'm going for a 7.5, and the reason for that is, yes, he didn't do that much going forward, but in terms of tracking back, he was literally in front of me, helping out
Fantastic.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, it shouldn't be 8 because when you have 8, I'll say he's been good going forward and defensively. But 7.5 for his defensive efforts. When you're talking about City, you just have to consider that into fact. Like, he's a winger, but you have to defend as a whole team, which we did do. That's how we got a clean sheet. And Jordan Ayew was a massive part of that. So for me, it has to be a 7.5. With you, was you impressed by his performances? You really expected it. You said it in a live post-match show against Newcastle. You said that Jordan Ayew should start. Was you surprised about his performance or?
No, because again, I think Vieira trusts him a lot. I think you talked about, you know, certain players playing in certain games. Kouyaté yesterday, even though it was really because of Luka, I believe Luka didn't train all week. That's what I heard anyway. But as far as Ayew, I just think that he was set up for that kind of game. You mentioned how he helped out Ward. When you're playing against Manchester City, you're not going to have the ball. He draws fouls, which is underrated. He links up well with Edouard and Zaha very well. And he just, I think his work rate is underrated. The only issue I had yesterday, it's a shame because right before he got taken off, he had a great chance to either square the ball to Wilf or score, and he had that awful shot. And it stinks
and
because
it hit me.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But the thing is, he played so well, and that's what people will think. People who don't like him will think about that one thing. Had he scored that goal, it's a 9.0. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. That's how the difference is. But no, yesterday he played really well. And again, people want to get on Ayew. He suits a role like Kouyaté does. I wouldn't say you should start every single match, but I think that there are games when you have to start him, and then you bring in Olise, we'll get to later on, and he just changes the game. So, no, I had no problem. Now, to be honest with you, next week, I wouldn't play him. I wouldn't start him, sorry, but we'll see.
I was going to actually ask you about that. Yeah, personally, I think rotations are needed. He's not better suited to Wolves. He was better suited due to defensive efforts against City, but against Wolves, I'll start
front foot. Exactly, go front foot and go for it. Yeah.
And then talking about the greatest Crystal Palace player of all time, Sir Wilfried Zaha, both giving him 9 there. Same level as Gallagher, but was you surprised that he started up front? Was he? I
wasn't surprised because I think Vieira throws the things at us and you don't really realize it. But I was happy with that he did it because I really felt, much I like Edouard as a striker, Wilf is a better ball carrier than Edouard. Not a better finisher, but he carries the ball forward. He draws more fouls. And as you can tell yesterday, from the beginning of the match, he had Man City in all kinds of craziness. He had Jesus trying to kick him off the pitch. He had Cancelo trying to kick him off the pitch. And then eventually he drew the red card. Obviously, he scores the goal. Then he's get involved in the assist for the Gallagher goal. A 9.9. Because again, for me, when you have a play like that, the other team focuses in on, it just them out of what they want to do. So as good as Edouard is, and I totally rate Edouard, he couldn't have done what Wolf did yesterday. Having said that, if people switch him to the wing next week or out wide and put Edouard back up front against Wolves, I'd have no problem because it's a different team. You know what I mean? But yesterday, again, Vieira had this tactic spot on. He did a great job with that.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
When hasn't he? Apart from Chelsea, he really hasn't got the tactics wrong
You're right.
so far. So, more people respect than Vieira, which he deserves, because the disrespect was crazy when he signed.
Embarrassing before the season started.
Embarrassing. But we both gave Gallagher and Wilf a 9. We've got other players left, but I think if you watched the game yesterday, you would know that them two are up there. So who would you give as your man of the match between both of them, Wilf or Gallagher?
It's a toss-up. It really is, and that's why I gave him the same rating. But I'd edge it to Wolf because of the red card that he drew. Because that red card, let's be honest, even though they were down to 10, it felt like they had 11 players on that pitch. And with 11, they would have found a way to either tie that match yesterday or go on to win it. So I thought that drawing of that, controversial, someone would say red card was the key point. Nothing against Gallagher, because Gallagher would have, if you gave it to Gallagher, I got no problem with it. But I just think that's the one thing. Both had a goal, both had an assist, but that red card, to me, changed the match, because although, we didn't go on to destroy them in the second half, obviously, because they pressured us, that changed the game for me, and it gave us the win for me.
I'm gonna give it to Wolf as well. To be fair,
oh, okay.
Is 50th Premier League goal
50th,
for Palace?
yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it's a milestone. So
Yeah.
we might as well celebrate it. 2-0 win. Might as well give it to him as well. You got a 9 rating. You had a very good game, Gallagher. Right. You'll have it next week. Don't worry, I'll give it to you next week. Talking about the final player in the starting lineup before we move on to the bench, EDOUARD. He had a different role in this game, of course, in comparison to the other games. I think this was his hardest role, playing out wide due to his defensive efforts. But I'm giving him a 7.5. I think he was on a similar level to Jordan Ayew. He tracked back well. He helped out Mitchell. He was involved throughout the game. But I guess you see it as similar to Jordan Ayew in terms of, they've both done a decent amount of job going back. But what about his forward play? Because even though we didn't expect much from Jordan Ayew, EDOUARD, there's still expectations there. He's still a good forward, and he still should have caused problems to City. Was you happy with his performance going forward?
Well, a couple of key things that stand out for me. On the goal that Wilf scored, he was in the box, so had that shot been saved, he was there for the rebound, which is important. And then on the red card, he's the one that flicked on the header that Wilf ran onto that drew the red card. So he was involved, but he had no shots on goal. So for EDOUARD, that's not what we're used to seeing from him, because he's a goal scorer. He just is. So, but I just think he had a role to play. I think yesterday he understood his role, which was more to be, more compact, more defensive, counterattack when we can, link up with Wilf and Gallagher and Ayew when he could. So he wasn't involved as much going forward, but I think he had a role to play. And again, it's Man City away. He did his job, but that's why he didn't get as high rating, like I said, because he just didn't have he wasn't really involved in like true goal scoring or opportunities as he normally is.
Yeah. All right, we'll go through these quickly. So the bench, Benteke, me and you both agree that it was a 6.5,
right?
Which wasn't really surprising. He was involved, but he didn't really do much to the world
to stand out, right?
Yeah, stand out performance. Same with Jeffrey Schlupp. We both agree that it was a 6.5. Olise, the only reason why I gave him an 8 and not 8.5 is I rave on about Olise on literally every show that we do on Back of the Nest. It's because I don't. This might sound dumb, but he wasn't on the pitch for as long to give him that 0.5. I don't know.
Right.
It's something dumb. It's just something dumb. I just gave him an 8 instead of 8.5. But I could have easily gave him an 8. Another assist for him. And next week we already talked about it. He has to start. He has to start against Wolves.
I agree. And the thing is, like I said, I'm impressed with is his maturity at 19 years old. I mean, you I played football for a long time. You play now. When you're that young, you have that kind of vision. I mean, he always has his vision to make these passes. That pass to Gallagher, another player of any age would have maybe taken a shot.
He plays would have shot that.
Exactly. No, Wilf might have shot it. Benteke might have shot EDOUARD. You know what I'm saying? He always looked for that pass because he has that vision. And it was weighted perfectly. I mean, he's just so good. And the funny thing is, like, you're not giving 8.5. You know how long he's on the pitch for? 5 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I gave him an 8.
And T gave him man of the match for 5 minutes yesterday. So my point is that, listen, I'm just saying. So that's the impact that he has, and he's done that 4 times this season already. Just come on and instant impact. Come on and had an assist, had a goal against Leicester. I mean, the kid's amazing, but I like what Vieira's doing. He's not rushing the kid. You know, and you can tell. By the way, you ever notice yesterday? The couple of times when he scored against Leicester, he didn't celebrate. Right, he ran and got the ball. Yesterday, you see, he celebrated when Gallagher got that goal. The kid's not very emotional. He's a very serious kid. Yesterday,
Yeah.
I actually saw him like exude some kind of emotion, which is great. Again, he's buying into the whole Palace thing. He's getting into it more. I heard he's kind of a quiet kid anyway, but nah, I love the kid. He's got a huge future ahead of him. We made a great signing. Great job by Dougie. Whoever decided to sign him, great job.
I'll be honest, I didn't see him celebrate because I was just looking at Gallagher just screaming.
I can imagine. Watch the replay. Watch the replay. You'll see it.
Watch the replay. Look, our first ever player ratings, and me and Patrick are still on good terms, which was a success. But if you guys want to see this in more future episodes of player ratings, make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe so don't miss out on any other videos of From Back of the Nest. And also let us know in the comment down section what you give as your player ratings. Do you agree, disagree with us? And we'll try to get you involved as much as we can and reply back to you. As always, until next time, up the Palace. And don't forget to check out the match reaction show, my reaction in the standard, loads of other content available on our channel. So yeah, go check them out and have a great day. Until next time, up the Palace.